Let's talk about that speech. Just very quickly, lay out for us what you said were the reasons. Now, were you at that point? Were you just asking for an investigation? Did you believe the what should have happened that didn't happen?
Well, I've been asking for an independent audit for most of ever since the election, because we were told that the election was flawless in Arizona, and yet there was this sense by many people, including myself, that something was not quite right. And I really believe this, that if we'd have done a forensic audit and found that there was nothing there, it would have put this thing to bed in Arizona. If we found that there was something wrong, then we could have addressed it. And I believe that the people who had control the machines and the ballots and whatnot should have not just done a recount, because a recount means just keep counting the same ballots over and over again, but actually do an audit. Let's find out if there's anything wrong here, and if there is, let's make corrections. Let's make it right. If not, you're heroes. Either way, you're a hero. So what I was trying to do in my speech was to just lay out the issues that we had that were obvious issues, and the first one, of course, is the constitutional issue, and that's dealing with the manner of choosing electors, which is solely up to the state legislature, and it was abrogated by a federal court, who basically said, both at the district level and the delegate level, Mike, and this is the real rub here, is that the deadline for voter registration enacted by the state legislature for 30 years is appropriate and meets constitutional bona fides. And so, but they nevertheless said, we're going to extend it. And the district court said for 18 days. The appellate court said, no, we're going to reduce that to 10, but, we're just going to do it. And the dissenting opinion had it exactly right. They said, you cannot do that because the legislature set the date. They have a rational basis for what they're doing. And that was the main thing I was trying to get at. And over 32,000 in Maricopa County alone registered during that window.
And so after you made your speech, everybody understood that the chances that anything was going to be overturned seemed to be very, very small. When did it turn from this debate inside? And we're going to talk with Congressman Gosar later. He was speaking when the unrest happened. Can you walk us through what happened from your perspective when you realized that the Capitol had been breached and what happened next?
Yeah, well, so what happened is I was the second speaker on the Republican side, and Paul was the fourth, I believe. And so in that 15 minutes, we could start hearing some noise down from the rotunda. And it just sounded like what you would normally hear on a regular day, where there'd be lots of tourists coming in. But we knew no tourists were there, and we didn't know what was going on. And they interrupted Paul's speech, actually, and and the Capitol Police came in and told us that the Capitol had been breached. Everything's fine, they told us. Just stay here. Just stay seated, relax. And then then they came out of recess, and Paul went in and spoke and finished his speech. And then they came in and said, well, now here's underneath your seats are gas masks. And we're like, what? Yeah, we had heard canisters go off, explosions of which I assumed were tear gas. And so they told us about the gas mask, and then they also told us that there's protection in the Capitol. At that point, we only had like 3 or 4 Capitol police officers in the room, and we'd gone into recess after Paul's speech. The next thing you know, Secret Service came in and took out Scalise, Pelosi, and Steny Hoyer, because that's the succession of the country. So they came in and took them out while the rest of us were there, and then they started. Then the people who were there, the rioters, started pounding on the door of the House, the chambers of the House, trying to get in, and that's when the room filled up with Capitol Police, and they evacuated us.
Moving forward, what happens now? I mean, obviously the election's been certified, but from your perspective, American politics has never been as contentious. We are going to see drastic changes with the Democrats taking over all parts of this. But what, from the Republican perspective, what happens next?
Well, from the Republican perspective, I would say we have to assess where we are. and I really believe this, that the Democrats are going to keep pursuing Donald Trump. You know, they want to throw him out of office and everything else when there's 12 days left to his term. The reality is that I think they believe that if they move against Donald Trump, that the movement that he created, which I think is a neoconservative type movement, a new conservative type movement, will go away. I don't think so. I think that if conservatives keep their hope up and work hard, we're fighting for freedom. We're fighting for the Constitution. We're fighting for our values. I think if we stay together and unite in that sense, in a productive, positive way, we can win that. Now, the other thing I think is really critical is we're going to have to try to ensure electoral integrity. And the way that has to happen is that's a state legislative fix, because my colleagues in the across the aisle in Congress, they're going to reintroduce H.R. 1, which is a bill that basically emasculates everything necessary for a free and fair elections. But that's where we need to be. We need to get the election integrity back, but we can't give up because we lost. Regardless of how we lost this election, we have to understand that if we were to dissipate, we were to let our movement die, Mike, I think that we move to a far more left-leaning nation. We start looking in many ways like many European states, and that's really not where America wants to be.